Genghis Khan, born Temujin around 1162, united the Mongol tribes and began a series of military campaigns that spread across Asia and parts of Europe. His armies were highly disciplined, fast, and ruthless. Cities that resisted Mongol rule were often completely destroyed. Historians estimate that millions of people died during the Mongol conquests. Some estimates suggest that as many as 30 to 40 million people may have died as a result of wars led by Genghis Khan and his successors. Destruction of cities. When Mongol forces captured cities, they often carried out mass killings to prevent rebellion and to spread fear. One famous example is the destruction of the Khwarezmian Empire after its ruler executed Mongol envoys. In response, Genghis Khan launched a massive invasion around 1219. Cities such as Bukhara, Samarkand, and Urgent were devastated, and many residents were killed. At Nishapur, after the death of a Mongol general, the Mongols reportedly massacred nearly the entire population. Historical accounts describe extremely brutal reprisals. Psychological warfare. Genghis Khan also used terror as a strategy. News of massacres spread quickly, causing many cities to surrender without fighting. This allowed the Mongols to conquer huge territories rapidly. Historical debate. Some historians believe the reported death numbers may be exaggerated in medieval sources, but there is no doubt that the Mongol conquests caused enormous destruction and loss of life. At the same time, the Mongol Empire also helped connect trade routes such as the Silk Road, which later encouraged cultural exchange between East and West. After establishing power over the Mongol tribes, Genghis Khan expanded his empire through a series of devastating wars. Several campaigns became famous for their extreme brutality and large-scale loss of life. The invasion of the Khwarezmian Empire, 1219 to 1221. One of the most destructive campaigns began when the ruler of the Khwarezmian Empire executed Mongol merchants and ambassadors. In response, Genghis Khan launched a massive invasion. Mongol armies attacked major cities including Bukhara, Samarkand, Urgent. When these cities resisted, Mongol forces reportedly killed large portions of the population. Contemporary chronicles describe widespread destruction, with many buildings burned and survivors enslaved. The massacre of Nishapur. In 1221, after a Mongol commander, who was also related to Genghis Khan, was killed during the siege of Nishapur, the Mongols carried out a severe retaliation. Historical accounts claim that almost the entire population of the city was killed. Some stories say that even animals were slaughtered, and the city was destroyed to send a powerful warning to other regions. Campaigns in northern China. Genghis Khan also led wars against the Jin dynasty. Many fortified cities resisted Mongol rule, leading to long sieges and heavy casualties. Large populations were displaced, and some cities were completely destroyed. Strategy of fear. A key strategy of the Mongol army was psychological warfare. When one city was destroyed, survivors or witnesses would spread the story to nearby regions. This fear often caused other cities to surrender without resistance. Legacy of destruction. By the time of Genghis Khan's death in 1227, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to parts of Eastern Europe. While the empire later brought stability and trade across Eurasia, the initial conquests were among the most violent military campaigns in medieval history. During his conquests, several massacres became infamous for their scale and brutality. Historians recorded many events where entire cities were destroyed after resisting Mongol rule. 1. Massacre of Nishapur, 1221. One of the most brutal events occurred after a Mongol commander who was related to Genghis Khan was killed during the siege of Nishapur. In revenge, the Mongol army attacked the city and reportedly killed most of its inhabitants. Some historical chronicles claim that tens of thousands or even more people were slaughtered. Nar 2. Destruction of Urgent. Urgent was one of the richest cities in the Khwarezmian Empire. The city resisted strongly against Mongol forces, which led to an extremely violent battle. After capturing the city, the Mongols carried out mass executions and destroyed large parts of it. 3. Fall of Bukhara, 1220. When Mongol forces captured Bukhara, many soldiers and civilians were killed. Historical accounts say that the city was looted and burned. Genghis Khan reportedly gathered the city's people and warned them that resistance to Mongol rule would bring destruction. 4. Siege of Samarkand. Samarkand was one of the largest cities in Central Asia. Although it had a strong army, the Mongols eventually captured it. Many defenders were executed, and thousands of skilled workers were taken as prisoners to serve the Mongol Empire. Power 5. Conquest of Northern China. During the war against the Jin dynasty, Mongol armies destroyed many cities that refused to surrender. Long sieges caused famine, destruction, and massive loss of life. Final historical perspective. The campaigns of Genghis Khan helped create the huge Mongol Empire. While the empire later allowed trade and cultural exchange across Eurasia, the early conquests were extremely violent and caused enormous human suffering. Final part. Why Genghis Khan became so ruthless and feared. To understand why Genghis Khan became one of the most feared leaders in history, it is important to look at his early life, military strategy, and the environment in which he grew up. Harsh childhood. Genghis Khan was born as Temujin on the Mongolian steppe around 1162. After his father was poisoned by enemies, his family was abandoned by their tribe. Temujin and his family lived in extreme poverty and struggled to survive. These harsh conditions helped shape his tough and determined personality. Life on the Mongolian steppe. The steppe environment was very competitive. Different tribes were constantly fighting each other for land, animals, and power. Violence and warfare were common parts of life. Temujin learned from a young age that strength and loyalty were necessary for survival. Military discipline and strategy. Genghis Khan created one of the most organized armies of the medieval world. His army used fast-moving cavalry, strict discipline, advanced communication signals, psychological warfare. If a city surrendered peacefully, it was often spared, but if it resisted, the Mongols sometimes destroyed the city completely to warn others. Creation of the Mongol Empire. Through his conquests, Genghis Khan united many tribes and built an empire that stretched across Asia. After his death in 1227, his descendants continued expanding the empire into parts of Europe and the Middle East. Long-term impact. Although his campaigns caused massive destruction, the Mongol Empire later created a period of relative stability across Eurasia. Trade routes such as the Silk Road became safer, allowing merchants, ideas, and cultures to travel between East and West. Conclusion. Genghis Khan remains one of the most powerful and controversial figures in history. He was both a brilliant military leader and a ruler whose wars caused enormous suffering. His legacy continues to be studied as an example of how power, strategy, and fear shaped the medieval world.